in Norfolk. Bradley Ray on top and in charge of this championship. And they are your 8 showdown riders, your title fighters. Only they can win the BSB title at the end of 2022 with 3 rounds, of course, remaining now. After this one here at Snetterton, we've got Alton Park to come, Donington, and then the finale at Brands Hatch. This is how they line up on the grid then. Now it really is about, or put podium points here. The last chance these guys will fight for podium points before we then go into the showdown. Mackenzie, Ray and Bridewell are on row 1, followed by the 2 Irwins, Glenn and Andy on row 2, and Peter Hickman as well in 6. Kyle Ride heads row 3 ahead of Danny Bucket and Jason O'Halloran, and then it's Idden, Jackson and Sykes on row 4. Haslam, Brooks and Storm Stacey, 13th, 14th and 15th ahead of Mizuno, Neve and Jaycock. Kent, Takahashi and Harrison are on row 7. Bit of a depleted grid with a few riders missing. Luke Mossey's injured at the start of the weekend. We send our best wishes to him. Vickers, of course, concussed. There's Owen, Stelves and Rouse on the back. And Rory Skinner's not racing in this one either, James. They've decided to sit this one out.
I think he had a little bit of a knock on there. Wasn't concussed, didn't go unconscious, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to take any further part after the accident. But he's just stiff and he's sore and he's in the showdown anyway, he was before the weekend. So just figured, if you can't get any podium points, what's the point?
Are we expecting more of the same here as what we saw in race 1?
Yeah, I think we are. I think the 2 people who can go at the front of this field we have seen battling, and that is Taz and that's Brad, and that's who I expected to be at the front. But you never know with this job, do you? That
no.
Turn 2 might just
sort
another scenario out.
Yeah, well, that's why we love motorcycle racing. 16 laps then coming up here before we then go into the showdown. Tommy Bridewell getting himself prepared. A little nod to his late brother just before he starts his racing. Taz Mackenzie, the reigning champion, on pole. So the final race of the regular season before the showdown begins. Our title fighters have been decided, but who takes the last of the podium points here at Sunny Snet? And who is going to be the Quattro Group Race of Aces winner taking the trophy? Can Brad Ray do a treble for the first time in his career? Eyes to the lights, and we are underway. A good start from Hall on the front row. That was much better from Tommy Bridewell as well on the Ducati, number 46. On the approach then into turn 1, it will be Taz Mackenzie who leads from Brad Ray. In third is Andy Irwin, who's already getting aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, he got a good launch, it was a clean start and a good run. That was... Bridewell, oh, hang on a minute. That's pretty clean for there. That's Kyle Ride round the outside with a green helmet. Yep, all got away with. That's good. Oh, no,
we haven't.
Too soon.
That's a build-based Suzuki. It's Christian Idden.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, what a nightmare meeting for Christian.
Christian Idden then
4th yesterday.
Down and out. Yeah, 4th yesterday. Here comes Bradley Ray immediately attacking.
Ooh,
a bit out of shape though into Agostini.
He's got to go wide.
And he's going to go wide.
Got to go wide after that.
Yeah, and he does. And through goes Taz Mackenzie again.
Actually, Brad didn't lose as much time as what I thought he might. When you hit the brakes like that, the weight transfers to the front, the rear goes light. Actually, in this case, it came off the floor. At that point, you've got to release some brake pressure from the front wheel.
Blimey, that was a move from Jason O'Halloran on Kyle Ride. Number 22, he's got through, and Brad Ray. What a move that is from him on Taz Mackenzie as well. You don't often see a move planted there.
No, you don't. Not when the 2 riders are doing almost a similar time.
That was around Williams on the approach to the back straight, but here comes Taz Mackenzie and also Andrew Owen, number 18 on the Cinetic BMW. Ray holds on though to lead from Mackenzie, the BMW of Irwin, and then Tommy Bridewell. Glenn Irwin has just been passed by Jason O'Halloran as well. So the Australian looking much better, although through the bomb hole now. Back goes Glenn Irwin, and it's not easy to make a pass into the bomb hole.
It's not. It looked like whatever pass Jason made on him, he was a bit angry because he made that happen, didn't he?
He certainly did. Through Murray's we go. Bradley Ray looking in superb shape. A little bit of a moment at Agostini's for him, but he's going to lead across the line at the end of lap 1 of 16. We begin lap 2 then. There's Andy Irwin now trying to have a little peek at Taz Mackenzie into turn 1.
Yeah, you always set yourself up to one side or the other, generally the inside into a corner, because you don't know if the rider in front is going to have a problem. Maybe he didn't set up a pass there, but you just get yourself to the side in case anything happens, you don't run in the back. And that's Glenn Irwin up the inside of Bridewell, and that was a... He's going, isn't he? He's having a go.
Yeah, I think he's seen his brother.
Seen his brother, yeah, that's what it is.
I'll have some of that.
That's bragging rights over the kitchen table, isn't it?
So Tommy Bridewell, who was just a touch wide into the hairpin, he's had his pocket picked. And now he's got Jason Halloran and Peter Hickman behind him. Kyle Ryde then is in 8th, and then it's Jackson, Sykes in 10th, Buck in 11th, and Josh Brooks in 12th. There is Brooks, the Australian. Of course, no showdown space for him. Who would have thought at the start of the year, no Haslam, no Brooks, no Sykes, no Hickman in the showdown. When we go to Alton Park in a couple of weeks' time, it's all now down to podium points going into the showdown.
I just thought O'Halloran were having a little look at Oggies there of Bridewell, and he made a fairly clean pass there.
I can tell you in terms of those podium points, this is where they're going to start things from the next round at Alton Park. There are 48 points covering 8 riders with 9 races to go. That will be after this one.
Yep, Glenn under his brother. That's the Irwin G now in front of Irwin A.
And Irwin G is now going to try and get himself a really important podium point. Glenn Irwin, of course, in the showdown. Andy Irwin not. So is Andy now going to do his brother a favour and try and fend off the opposition?
I thought you were going to say he's going to do his brother. And it looked like he might have a go at that.
You never know, do you, with Andy Irwin? It could go one way or the other. Tommy Bridewell then has lost a couple of places. Hickman has now gone through on Jason O'Halloran as well. Number 60 then on the FHO Racing BMW. The solo FHO Racing BMW after Ryan Vickers, of course, got concussed after a crash yesterday. Towards Wilson hairpin we go, and through goes Jason O'Halloran again on Peter Hickman, but he's wide, and on the cutback Hickman gets back through.
Yeah, he saw him run wide and thought, I'll have a little bit of that.
So then, around the left-hander here at Palmer Corner, up towards, Tom Sykes is down at the hairpin, you presume. So Sykes has gone down, unfortunately.
Yeah, the yellow mark there is a long lap, and that is it, the hairpin, Montreal hairpin.
Meanwhile, out front, Bradley Ray looking for a treble for the first time in his career.
Yep, and only the second of the season, the first being that man in third there, Glenn Irwin at Silverstone, and that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it did. Glenn Irwin would love there to be a Silverstone in the remaining 3 rounds, wouldn't he? Let's have a look and see how Tom Sykes went down there. This is over at the hairpin. Just a bit further back through the pack is Tom. Oh, it looks like he got maybe a bit tangled with Danny Buchan there.
I think he might have had a bit of help in that one.
Yeah. Buchan saying sorry. And that's a shake of the head from Tom to suggest that perhaps they had a bit of a tangle.
Well, with what's happened to Tom in terms of getting knocked off by various people, he should have had a target on his back this year. Oh. And he has. I mean, coming in from World Superbike, you have definitely got a kind of target on you.
He's definitely had a bit of a buffering at times, hasn't he?
Big magnet.
Around Coram Curve we go. Brad Ray it is that leads from Taz McKenzie, and already these two are starting to peel away from the pack, James.
Yeah, Brad Ray said that he thought he had a little bit more tyre left than Taz at the end. I think Taz will be aware of that and be... Obviously, you've got to keep up with the rider, but you don't want to be using sort of excess amount of rear tyre. Lots of chatter going into Richards there for Taz.
Coming into this race, Brad Ray has 56 podium points. Taz McKenzie has 30. There's 26 points separating them. Taz would dearly love to cut that gap down before we go to Alton Park in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, podium points wise, that's a gap of what, 26. Brad has over Taz going at this point. It'll change a little bit, but that's a decent, and that is the lead he'll take into the showdown portion of the championship.
But that's how great the showdown is. If you look at the 8 showdown competitors over the regular season, they're split by over 200 points, but every single one of them has got a shot going into the last 3 races. And of course, as summer ends, James, you don't know what weather conditions you're going to be facing either.
Well, you don't, but you definitely know that weather will play its part. We're getting into the back end, the autumn in the UK. Well, you're going to get some kind of weather.
And it's happened plenty of times before. We got to Alton Park in 2 weeks' time, then Donington, then of course Brands Hatch, the big finale. You do not want to be missing any of that. Here comes Taz McKenzie, not close enough to get into the slipstream of Bradley Ray.
Actually, it's quite a long straight, is that? And if a bike's going to let go, mechanically it will be at the end of that straight, and so you've got to be a little bit careful to get to one side, even though you're not close enough to overtake. That's quite a wise thing to do, really.
Around the bomb hole and now up towards Coram Curve, fast right-hander. Knees, elbows down. Lovely style there from Bradley Ray.
Yeah, beautiful. Big lean angle. Modern style. Gets his kind of elbow next to his knee, his head off to one side, gets his knee scraping. Taz McKenzie, for all he's not so old, he's got kind of an old style on his back, very much like his dad. actually.
Yeah, he is.
Style-wise.
Yeah, these two are completely separate, aren't they? And, and as you mentioned earlier on as well, size-wise, they're completely different. I mean, Brad Ray's got a beautiful style, but that's quite a large frame he's got to get.
Yeah, he's not a big lad. He's an average-sized bloke. Oh, wide there. He is wide. And he knew Tabs was going to do that. Did you see that? That is really good presence of mind. They know Brad knows that those two has got a little bit of speed on other people, knows they've got a bit of a gap, so it looked, saw Taz there, allowed him through, caused neither of them any danger. Here he goes, he's in a bit deep, the back just goes a bit as it goes in, and then he's wide, watch, has a look, yeah, there he is. So, I mean, to think at that kind of pace is good.
Yeah, good presence of mind there from Brad Ray. Are you saying Brad Ray's not a big lad? I think he's quite tall.
No, I mean, I don't think in terms of normal people in the street, he's not, and me.
What's happened here to Andy Owen? He's dropped back then to 8th place.
Well, that'll possibly just be a mistake, run wide or whatever, but yeah, it looks like a mistake there.
So the Snetterton BMW then has fallen back behind Kyle Ryder, but in front of the FS3 Kawasaki of Lee Jackson. Lee will be hoping that he's as strong at Alton Park as he was at the start of the year when we go there in a few weeks' time. The Cheshire Moulding sponsorship came as a result of his big performance. As we now go back to the front and look at the McCams Yamaha of Taz McKenzie. I mean, Brad Ray at the moment looks like the bookie's favourite just because he's been riding so well, but you can't rule out Taz McKenzie.
Not at all.
What a story it would be, James, given what happened to him at the start of the year. If he turned this around and managed to win the title.
His bad luck started in testing in Spain right at the beginning of the year in January. He had a brake failure, it can happen, a union snapped, and he had to jump off a high rate of knots. Hurt himself really quite badly, came back, fell off again, hurt himself. He had a really terrible start to the championship. Some of it was his fault, most of it not his fault. But yeah, it would be some kind of turnaround, but we've seen it before.
Chrissy Rouse and Danny Buchan have both entered pit lane, so it's the end of their races. You're looking here at Peter Hickman, number 60, trying to find a way through on Tommy Bridewell.
Yeah, fastest lap of the race, 47.6. I think that'll be as quick as he's been round here.
Yeah, it will. Do you know what? It's not actually been a bad weekend for Peter Hickman. He's been pretty consistent, but it's just not quite been enough. The BMW hasn't been the best bike on the grid this year.
But that's the story of this season.
Yeah, it is.
Well, while we've got a chance, an old racing mate of mine, Mick Seward, now manages the ladies' ISDE team, and they've won their first ever international enduro event. Jane Daniels, Rosie Rowett, and Lee Holmes. Well done to them.
Congratulations, indeed. It's Glenn Irwin in third. Perhaps a surprising podium for the Honda man, or maybe not, depending on your own opinions. We're on lap 6 of 16. This is number 18. Andy Irwin, he's in 8th place ahead of Lee Jackson, Josh Brooks and Leon Haslam. The weekend just has not gone to plan at all for Leon Haslam.
Yeah, this is get off!
Peter Hickman rejoins, and he's done well there to stay on.
Absolutely, that's at the end of the straight. I think that's the bomb they're just going out of now, so that will be, I mean, something's happened to him on the brakes, maybe a bit of brake knockback or whatever, but anyway, something's happened, and he's gone across the grass at a heck of a rate of knots there.
Yeah, I mean, that's fast on the grass.
Oh, man.
Let's have a look. Look at him. Yeah, he's out of shape, and
he'll be doing 80, 90 miles an hour there. Look at that.
He's done a tremendous
The big lad that hung on. And you've got to be careful even when you get back on the tarmac, because that grass is wet. Tyres will be wet. It's dead easy to get on the tarmac. Think, right, lean it over, boom, you're off the thing.
Yeah, that was incredible from Peter Hickman. He's done very well indeed there for his race not to be over. He was the fastest man on circuit as well, but he's now dropped back to 6. Out front, though, it's still McKenzie from Ray. An important 5 podium points for Taz McKenzie that's going into the showdown. But this is what happened early on. Glenn Irwin on that last lap has pulled in a few tenths, hasn't he?
I was just going to say, is that Glenn Irwin making some headway there?
I mean, it's just like you said on the grid to him. You just never know.
You never know. No.
And if he's in that position, then you know you're going to be in for a race. Glenn Irwin has had some tremendous moments this year so far, and he is closing down the 2 Yamahas.
He ought to be one of them cheap magicians that comes to your table in a restaurant and pulls cards out of pockets and rabbits out of hats and clinks rings together, because you just never know when he's going to be able to do something.
No, and you kind of even though it looks like on paper the Yamaha guys are going to be favoured for this British Superbike Championship, if there was one anomaly, it probably would be Glenn Irwin.
It might be him, yeah.
And that's taken nothing away from the other
Look,
competitors as well. They've all
he's
got a chance,
there.
but Glenn Irwin is here.
And he's one of them riders that he has just enough aggression to get the bit between his teeth and actually try something.
Yeah, he did this at Brands Hatch, didn't he, in the final race as well? He got himself up onto the podium. So this is fascinating stuff then. The Yamahas have been by far and away the best bike and the fastest bikes all weekend.
I'm going to apologise to Glenn now, because I'm going to say he's just a little bit mad when it comes to this sort of thing. And he will have a go. What's this lap like?
Yeah, it's good. It's a 47.8. It's 7/10 quicker than the leader, Taz McKenzie. Well, you thought it was all about the Yamahas. You're wrong. There's a Honda coming, and it's in the shape of Glenn Irwin. Well, those tips came in handy from Shaky yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah, and you know, they're good mates. They've been teammates. So, yeah, and who knows? Shaky knows what he's talking about.
He is pushing Glenn Irwin here on the Honda, and he can smell these Yamahas now.
And that's what you know. And you also know these lap times he's doing are a lot easier, or let's say they've done more of them for the Yamahas than Glenn has. It's in real uncharted territory for him.
So, it's not just a matter of McKenzie versus Brad Ray. After all, Glenn Irwin, sector by sector, corner by corner, he's reeling in Brad Ray.
All I would say is when you're riding like this, it's so easy to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because the bike will be wrong. The bike at whatever pace he's been doing, and bear in mind they've had no dry track time at all. So he's really, like I said, uncharted territory for Glenn.
Harley Beltran there just looking on nervously as he watches his rider reel himself into contention. Get onto the tail now of Brad Ray. We're only at the halfway point as well. There's plenty of race here coming for Glenn Irwin. Has he used too much tyre?
That's the problem. When you're doing this, you're riding that hard, you're catching riders in front, and you're not catching riders that are off the pace, you're catching the two best riders of the meeting, then you're going to use a little bit more rear tyre.
Around Coram Curve we go. It's McKenzie, Ray and Glenn Irwin separated by just over a second. Through Murray's we go, and it's another couple of tenths he's probably made on this lap, is it?
I think Hell Station this time. I think that'll be a similar lap time for them all.
Across the line we go, McKenzie, Ray and Irwin. And in fact,
fastest from McKenzie.
Fastest was from McKenzie, a 47.5 from McKenzie. Remember, he broke the lap record earlier, a 47 flat. Pretty similar conditions, not quite as hot.
Oh, he's lost a 10%, I'll tell you.
Yeah, a little bit wide into the hairpin at Wilson's.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Storm Stacey at the end of the start-finish straight.
Yeah, the Eurocar pass LKQ Kawasaki, and it's seized as well, look.
Yeah, we got a safety car out now. That really does put an interesting spin on things. That's another engine gone, I think, for Storm Stacey.
Absolutely.
The second of the weekend.
Yeah, the smoke, which means something to come out of the engine, or a union's broken, and also the bike was seized, it was locked up. So that would suggest a huge internal kind of issue.
Yeah. Well, luckily he's okay, and that's the main thing, because when these things happen, sometimes it can be disastrous, but...
And he's right against the barrier, so let's have a look.
Let's have a look then. Oh, yeah, that's...
yeah,
I mean, luckily he's not on the racing line
he's
there.
known it's coming. I mean,
yeah, he
good
knows.
lad.
Yeah, well done, Storm.
Yeah.
So, well, this Storm Stacey's bike's going to get moved. It's seized, as James says, so it's going to be a bit... That's going to be troublesome. That's a heavy old unit.
Yeah, they want to be lifting the back of the bike, not the front, because the front wheel will definitely go around, the rear won't.
You can see then it's taking 5 marshals here to try and get this one off the track. So this is interesting then. Lap 9 of 16. The good news is, folks, Storm Stacey's perfectly fine, but this is going to bunch everyone up, James.
Yeah, the reason the safety car's out is quite obviously the smoke, therefore there could well be fluids, oil on the circuit. They've got to go and check that, and to do that safely, they need to bring the riders under safety car conditions and do it at a steadier pace.
So part 1 of the race was about McKenzie, Ray and Glenn Irwin catching the pair of them as well.
Charging all the
But now this is going to give an opportunity to the likes of Bridewell and O'Halloran, if they've got the speed, to stay with those guys out front. The bike has been safely removed to the other side then. These will make their way down the start-finish straight. The safety car is out here at Snetterton. There is Storm Stacey.
Yep, big laddie Storm now. He's still only 19.
And he is a tall lad.
He's a tall lad, and he's broad as well.
Good guy, Storm Stacey.
He is, yep.
And he's done well there to sort that one out. So lap 10 of 16 there, we have a safety car out. They're the championship standings that really aren't going to matter going into the next round.
Yeah,
at Alton Park, because it's all about podium points at the moment.
Yeah, that's all they're bothered about now.
The BMW safety car then is out, and the riders are now about to line up behind it. Once the safety car lights go out, that's when they can continue.
Yeah, they've got a full lap with the safety car lights out, knowing that the safety car's going to pull in, and that'll leave them time to bunch up because, it leaves the riders time to do what they want, really. But a lot of riders elect to kind of go steady early on in the safety cars kind of laps, and then rush onto the back of the pack to get the tyres warm again.
The lights are off.
Yeah, so it's in this lap.
It's in on this lap. So now Taz McKenzie, you would suspect, might just back a few of the riders up.
Yeah, it's left up to the leading rider, Taz McKenzie in this case, to go when he wants. There's no overtaking for anybody before they get to the start and finish line.
Let's quickly go down to Shaky. He's got Storm Stacey.
Yeah, I've got Storm Stacey here. Storm looked like he had a bit of a terminal engine problem there. What can you tell us what happened?
Yeah, just come on to the start and finish then. Good run, just catching up to Tim Neve. Well, Tom Neve having a good battle. Just come on to the start and finish, and it just started shutting down. I mean, we've had a few blow-ups, unfortunately. It's just one of them things in racing, and we've got to get around it. So if we're going to finish, you've got to finish. Well, to finish first you've got to finish.
Storm, plenty more races left, but good job, well done.
Thank you, mate.
So the safety car is about to pull in at the end of this lap. Taz McKenzie, it is out front, with Brad Ray and Glenn Irwin and Tommy Bridewell there as well. The safety car does pull in, and the bikes are all flying past the safety car. That was a bit close. Taz was looking to get a proper run there.
He went early, didn't he?
Really early. Wow, that was very, very close indeed. But Brad Ray is right on his tail as they tip into Ritchie's. Glenn Irwin in third on the Honda. In fourth is the Oxford Products Motor Rapido Ducati and Tommy Bridewell, and then it's Jason Halloran into the hairpin at Wilson's. No room for Brad Ray on that occasion. And Glenn Irwin is now right with them.
He is right with them. Really quite deep there was Glenn, but he'll have a go at this if he can stay with him.
I don't know. Race control are taking a look at this. They're taking a look at this, whether or not Taz McKenzie's gone too soon. Yeah,
you're not supposed to until the car has pulled out of the way, because obviously there's a danger if everybody gasses it. The acceleration on these bikes it's so phenomenal. You cannot believe how quick these bikes accelerate.
Taz McKenzie it is at the moment that leads this race, though, after the restart from Brad Ray, who's looking hungry to find a way through on it. He'll know that he's got Glenn Irwin behind him. He'll know that he was catching him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, he's had a tiny moment there, Brad.
Yeah, but I mean, Taz will also know that he had the pace. He had the fastest lap before the safety car came out, so be reasonably confident.
So here we go then, here comes Glenn Irwin, he's pulling out of the slipstream of Brad Ray, and Brad Ray's now going to go through as well on Taz McKenzie. Brad Ray goes through. Race controller continuing to look at what happened with the safety cars. There's a possibility that maybe more than Taz McKenzie, maybe a couple of them had gone past.
Yeah, it's difficult for everybody else, because if Taz goes, everything inside you would go, right, we're off we go.
Yeah, absolutely right. So around Coram Curve we go. Brad Ray then with that lovely wide sweeping line, his elbow on the deck as they now head towards Murray's. There's going to be just a few laps left after this. We'll start lap 12 of 16, and they're all grouped together. And right there is Tommy Bridewell in fourth as well, and Jason Halloran and Peter Hickman across the line then to start lap 12 of 16. Into Ritchie's corner, turn one. Bit wide, and here comes Glenn Irwin. Oh, Taz McKenzie was so close to going onto the grass there.
You don't want to be doing that.
Through goes Glenn Irwin.
Again, Glenn, yeah. That was a big mistake from Taz McKenzie. Like you said, must have missed the braking or whatever. So wide mid-corner there.
Yeah, and it's fast into Ritchie's as well.
Absolutely.
You do not want to be hitting the grass there. Ooh, slightly wide now from Glenn Irwin. And this is all helping Brad Ray out front. He's managed to take a couple of tenths out of him for that. Here comes McKenzie up the inside, potentially at Agos. No.
McKenzie just needs to say, oh, that's a mistake from Glenn. He gets a bit of a bubble mid-corner and runs wide.
So then a couple of mistakes here from both of them, and that has just allowed Brad Ray to get himself, what, a good 6-7 tenths out front, and it's invited through the likes of O'Halloran, who's just lunged up the inside of Tommy Bridewell, and I think Bridewell's lost another spot as a result of that as well. He has. Hickman's gone through too.
Yeah, when you're in a park, you always look to pick up. If somebody goes through somebody else and leaves you, you know, you're looking for it.
So then onto the back straight we go. Glenn Irwin is going to try and pull out of the slipstream once more on Taz McKenzie. And if these two beat each other up again and Irwin goes through, then Ray is just going to disappear.
Yeah, it's perfect for Brad, this.
So proper scrapping this, and Jason O'Halloran has got some speed here as well.
Yeah, and he needs it. I just feel that Jason has lost a little bit, for whatever reason. I'm not apportioning blame. He's lost a little bit of the momentum he has had most of the championship, and he's just gathering it back now. This is good for him going into the showdown.
It is, yeah. I mean, they have been chasing their tails this weekend, it's fair to say. Peter Hickman's not out of the equation here for a podium. He's looking very good, remember. Hickman put up the fastest lap of the race earlier on.
Yeah, look how big he is, though, compared to Jason O'Halloran, look.
Yeah, and he's not able to go through on the slipstream. That's quite a large frame to get behind a BMW screen, that is, for Peter Hickman, but he is looking very good. We're on lap 13 of 16. Brad Ray's advantage is over a second out front due to the mistakes and the swapping of paintwork between Glenn Irwin, number 2, and number 1, Taz McKenzie. Then there's number 22, Jason O'Halloran, the Australian, on the McCann's Yamaha, and number 60, Peter Hickman, who's not been on the podium yet this year.
That looks like Taz up the inside. Hasn't he got it stopped? That was a...
Yeah, I think he was a bit wide, but he's managed to hold it.
Yeah, he has.
So he must have changed positions 3 or 4 times now, and it's all just playing into the hands of the championship leader, Bradley Ray.
Yeah, it is with 3 to go.
So Ray, who started his 150th Bennett's British Superbike race earlier on and picked up his 28th podium and his 8th win.
The problem is that Taz wants to go and chase Brad Ray, but number 2 there, Glenn Irwin, he just wants a podium, and he doesn't care if he's got to keep holding Taz up to do that, to get a second instead of a third. He'll do it.
No, and of course, you know, second place, there's 3 podium points on offer rather than just the 1. Peter Hickman and Jason O'Halloran, a shake of the head there from O'Halloran. They're having a proper dust up here.
Yeah, that was a clean move. That was a Snetterton move. You run around the outside, the first part of the S's, and then you stick it up the inside into Nelson's.
Peter Hickman's perhaps smelling here his first podium of the season. It's all a bit too late, but he's done tremendously well this weekend. He's been building and building and building. Out front then, Brad Ray's about to cross the line to start lap 14 of 16, and his advantage is going to grow once more. It has, it's 1.6 seconds down. He's the only rider in the 147s at the moment.
Yeah, and that's because he's settled. He's got a little bit of a gap. He doesn't have to do anything daft. Taz McKenzie's got Glenn Irwin to worry about. Glenn Irwin's got a podium to worry about.
And another 5 podium points for Brad Ray. He's just take a nice little buffer over Taz McKenzie anyway into Alton Park in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
All important. So this is the battle you're looking at between Hickman and O'Halloran, 4th and 5th. Just behind them is Tommy Bridewell, Andy Irwin 7th, Leon Haslam 8th, and Carl Ride and Lee Jackson. Although Haslam has just gone through on Andy Irwin.
Yeah, this is going to be a 61-point lead, podium points anyway, into the showdown for Brad. Should it finish like this? Over a 48 for O'Halloran.
Yeah, so it'd be 13 points would be the difference as things stand. Going into Alton between Ray and O'Halloran.
Yeah.
So Taz McKenzie will be picking up some important podium points as well. Glenn Irwin, who's also in the showdown, 1 on offer at present if he stays in 3rd place.
And you've got to say, all season you've not seen Brad Ray drop the ball yet.
No, it hasn't been the case, has it? He's been absolutely brilliant, Bradley Ray.
Man, you would have been saying exactly the same about Jason O'Halloran this time last year.
Yes.
So you don't know, do you?
You just don't know. No. Going into the showdown last year, you would have the bookies' favourite by a country mile with Jason O'Halloran until it all went wrong. That is the key thing about the showdown. Anything can happen. It's going to be starting a fresh page when we get to Alton Park in 2 weeks. We start the penultimate lap of the race, and it's 1.5 seconds the lead for Brad Ray over Taz McKenzie and Glenn Irwin.
Yeah, Taz McKenzie drops into the 47 to 47.936. That's just marginally quicker than a 48 flat for Ray, and Ray's controlling this race. He doesn't need to do anything daft now.
Glenn Irwin, perhaps at the start of this weekend, just all he wanted to do was secure a showdown spot. Maybe didn't think a podium was on initially.
No, but then again, he's won 3 races in a meeting where he didn't expect to get a top 5, so...
Yeah, Glenn Irwin then, Alton Park, his record earlier on this season, he struggled a bit at Alton. He's very good round Donington. He's been a winner there before.
He has.
And then, of course, he was on the podium at Brands Hatch, so yeah, definitely can't write him off. Taz McKenzie has just pulled the pin a bit the battle for second over Glenn Irwin.
I think he's got more pace than Glenn if he can settle down and get it, not get involved in any sort of shenanigans with Glenn.
Peter Hickman is closing on Glenn Irwin here. I'm not sure if he's going to run out of time. Hickman looking for his first podium of the season. Could he rob Glenn Irwin of that prize here in the closing stages at Snetterton?
The big fella's pushing on. I think Glenn's got just enough of a buffer with just over a lap to go.
So out of Brundle and Nelson corner we go into the bomb hole. There is Glenn Irwin in third on that Honda. A solitary podium point on offer for him if he can hold on to that. Peter Hickman would have his work cut out here to try and pull that gap back, but we're about to start the final lap of the race, and Bradley Ray here is on the brink of doing his first ever treble of his career. The 25-year-old from Ashford in Kent has been absolutely brilliant this weekend, and he crosses the line then to start this final lap. It would be his first treble. He'd be in a commanding position heading into the showdown. Of course, he would pick up the Quattro Group trophy, the Race of Aces.
Yeah, an old trophy is that. You used to get, I've won it a couple of times, and it used to be standalone. It wasn't part of any championship. They paid you good money to come. There was good money on offer to win it, and it was a huge gold trophy. Then that got worth so much that they couldn't afford to insure it, so they took it to a museum, and now you get a really nice trophy. It's a lovely trophy. And you keep that one. You never used to keep the original. You have to give it back after a year.
No, but you got some good cash for it.
Yeah, you did, because it was a standalone race. So the only way you were going to go is for the trophy and for the money, because it wasn't part of a championship.
So it's the end of the regular season in Bennett's British Superbikes, but there's so much more to come, of course, as the showdown begins in 3 weeks' time. Brad Ray can afford to look over his shoulder here. He's about to do the treble. We have our 8 title fighters, but the man they're all chasing is right on your screen. Number 28 on the Rich Energy OMG Racing Yamaha. He put in a masterclass yesterday in the Bennett's BSB eBay sprint race. He was tactically superb earlier on this afternoon. And when it mattered after the safety car came in, he did the business here, and he's capitalised as well on what happened. Oh, blimey, hang on a minute.
Ooh.
It's not over on our timing screens. Number 1, Taz McKenzie, 28, and 2, long lap equivalent time penalty, 2 seconds. That's not going to actually affect too much. That gives Hickman potentially a win. We're going to have to see what it's like over the line. And then Glenn Irwin here is challenging McKenzie late on and almost crashes into the back of him. Now, this could all change. We'll call it as we see it. This will be fascinating. 2 seconds added on here to the time. Ray thinks he's won it. Across the line he goes from Taz and Irwin. Who's got it?
I think
Hickman's going to take the win. Is he? No, he's not. He's third.
He's third. Glenn Irwin.
No, hang on. It's all changing. The time screen.
Ray's going to take the win. Hickman second. McKenzie third. Glenn Irwin fourth.
Ah, Glenn Irwin is going to be absolutely gutted. And it's all happened after Taz McKenzie went too soon.
Yeah, and they won't know yet.
No, they won't.
They will not know.
They've got no idea. Brad Ray, though, I mean, he deserves the win.
I'll tell you what it wasn't. He could have very easily eased off and won by a second.
Yeah.
And saved the engine, saved himself. But no, he pushed on and just about won by that, well, what turned out to be crucial, 2 seconds over Hickman, who was then in fourth.
I mean, and even more crucially, he's got 5 podium points and McKenzie's now only got 1.
Yeah.
So Peter Hickman is better late than never, Peter. A good ride for that. He's going to take second place, and he doesn't even know it yet.
The point is that the 3 overtook the safety car, but actually Hickman would have done if he would have been a little bit nearer to... You know, they all would have done it. It's a weird one. It's the rules, though. It is the rules.
Yeah, rules are rules, and none of them know about it yet. Whatever happens, this guy went out there, did the business. It's his first ever treble win. Congratulations to Bradley Ray. He will be on top when we head into the showdown at Old Park in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, and a little bit more on the Race of Aces. When you get a trophy and they've got all the past winners on, and get this, Mike Aylwood, we've got Rod Gold, Phil Reed, Paul Smart, Giacomo Agostini, Barry Sheen, they're all on there. It's a mega one to have on your mantelpiece.
And Jay Whitton.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I don't count me on that, but look at some of the names, and that are unbelievable.
Incredible. Harvey Beltran then is going to be a bit miffed with that. Glenn Irwin has lost out on a podium. The top 3 are on your screen. It's Brad Ray from Hickman, from Taz McKenzie.
Do you know one thing that I will say is rules are rules, they're in place, and race direction here rarely, very rarely, if any time, get it wrong. They will implement them. It's all on camera, and if that's the rules, that's what'll happen.
Yep, absolutely right. So Neil McKenzie there looking on. Taz has lost a position as a result of that, but he's still third overall. Poor Glenn here doesn't even realise, bless him. He thinks he's got on the podium.
Yeah.
And he's about to be told that he's not. I feel so desperately sorry for him because he's now being told, look, and he's not listening. He's gone over towards the grid because he thinks he's on the road. And Peter Hickman's probably going to go into pit lane.
Yeah, I think he is.
Oh,
but I mean, that's... Yeah.
Oh, poor Glenn.
He's going to be upset.
He's looking for his team. He doesn't know where they are. Yeah, Taz has just been told. Glenn's now being told he's not on the podium. Oh. Can you believe it?
No, after all that effort. I do feel for him a little bit.
Yeah, I feel really sorry for him. Yeah. Glenn's just saying, I followed these guys.
But that's what I said.
Yeah,
that's what you do. That's what you would have done.
Peter Hickman's now being told, well, as a result of that, you're on the podium. And he's just gone, I'll take that. Thank you very much.
That'll do.
Right, let's get the confirmation then of the results after the 2-second time penalty added on to the top three across the line. Brad Ray wins it, 7/10 clear of Peter Hickman, and Taron McKenzie then is third. Paul Glenn Irwin then drops down to fourth. Jason Halloran is fifth, and then it's Haslam, Bridewell, Kyle Ride eighth, Andy Owen ninth, Lee Jackson 10th, Brooks 11th, and Danny Kent in 12th. Taking the final points here in this final race of the regular season, Tom Neven 13th ahead of his teammate Rio Mizuno, and Dean Harrison 15th. In terms of the championship at the end of the regular season, Brad Ray on top, 66 points clear of Jason O'Halloran, but it's all about these top 8 now. Only these guys can win the Bennett's British Superbike Championship, and there are the crucial podium points on the right of your screen. 61 in favour to Bradley Ray. Further down the order, it's all about just shop window stuff now for the rest of the riders as they look to get themselves a ride booked for 2023.